The purpose of this lesson is to learn what countries claimed what lands in North America. Also, the purpose of this lesson is to know what explorers sailed into North and South America, laid claims to the lands, approximately when they sailed in. The reason you're going to learn this is because this is going to lead to future conflicts in America. There is a map in your American history book on page 26, which is a replica of what I'm doing, that you may also look at if you don't understand what I'm saying now. There is also blank copies of this map on Blackboard that if you would like to practice coloring the land claims and drawing the explorers, you may print copies at home. So there is also a copy of this map on Blackboard also. All right, what we're going to start, I know you know Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Came into Hispaniola, settled lands for Spain, and then what happens next? Then you have a gentleman by the name of Cabot who sails. Cabot is sailing for England. He discovers Newfoundland, lays a claim for England. Then for England, you also have a gentleman by the name of Henry Hudson. Now, we have a problem here because Henry Hudson first sailed for the Dutch. He sails in, discovers the Hudson River in 1609, claims it for the Dutch. He goes home. England threatens to put him on trial for treason. He gets in another boat a year later, sails, finds Hudson Bay, claims the land for England. This is 1610. Hudson also wants to explore a little while longer. His sailors say, don't think so, have a disagreement. They put him in a little boat. He sails away with some other sailors, and I think maybe his son, never to be seen again. So the claims we have now are Cabot, 1497 for England, Newfoundland, Hudson, 1609 for the Dutch, and now England also all around Hudson Bay for Henry Hudson in 1610. Let's go look at Spain. Spain, Ponce de Leon comes in, discovers Florida, 1513. Looking for the Fountain of Youth, discovers the Gulf Stream, Florida, Spain. Then we have two gentlemen by the name of Narvaez and another gentleman by the name of de Vaca. They leave New Spain. They sail over into Tampa Bay into Florida, but unfortunately a storm wrecks their ship. They have 40 or 50 survivors. They built a raft. They sail all the way to the Mississippi River. Narvaez dies. De Vaca lives. De Vaca lives with the Native Americans for 7-8 years, starts by foot, starts going home, going to walk to Mexico City. He is picked up by Spanish soldiers. So de Vaca claims all of Florida, lower south for Spain. He comes back to Mexico City, tells the glorious stories, cities of gold, Cibola. So a gentleman by the name of Coronado leaves Mexico City in 1540, travels westward, and claims the lands. Went all the way, in fact, up to Kansas. He went all the way to Grand Canyon. Claims these lands for Spain. In the meantime, another gentleman by the name of Cabrillo travels up the entire California coastline in 1542, claims all of California for Spain. So Spain claims Florida, all the lands in the western part of the United States, and all the lands of California, basically to the Rocky Mountains. Now let's talk about the French. The first explorers for the French start with a gentleman by the name of Cartier in 1542. He goes up the St. Lawrence River, gets to the Great Lakes, claims it for France. Cartier also makes agreements with the Huron Indians, which becomes really important, this connection, because the next explorer in 1608 is Champlain. The Huron Indians take him and has him tour all through the Great Lakes region. All of this lands are claimed for France. But this alliance with the Huron Indian comes into play later in the French and Indian War. So now France decides that they want to travel down the Mississippi River. So the first group to travel down the Mississippi River is Joliet and Marquette. They travel down to Illinois. They hear rumors Spanish soldiers are coming up from the south. They turn around, take the Illinois River. Joliet comes home and Marquette stays to convert the Native Americans to Catholicism. At this point, they've now claimed all the lands on the upper part of the Mississippi for France. Then we have La Salle, who travels all the way down the Mississippi River to New Orleans. He claims all the lands from France for King Louis, calls it Louisiana. So now they have all the lands to the Rocky Mountains. Now, do you notice the little V? France has the port of New Orleans. Very, very important. So this is what your map is going to look like by 1765, totally complete. England comes in and settles the New England colonies. They quickly settle Virginia. They move southward. They colonize the eastern seaboard. Spain has the western seaboard. You have England around Hudson Bay, and you have the French. Needless to say, all this leads to great conflict, and we will get to that in Chapter 5.